their soul is no longer being sucked into a shitty game and they can be free.
Yeah, now they can go play Overwatch.
Speaking of 8 people have been arrested in a StarCraft II match-fixing scandal.
What?
Though names have not yet been released, one top-tier StarCraft II player was arrested and fined 70 million won, which is roughly $68,000 US, for manipulating 2 matches. 4 brokers were additionally charged for facilitating the match-fixing, as well as 2 financial backers, one of whom is currently at large. In addition, another pro gamer was charged 30 million won, or $26,000, for betting on the matches. This is not the first time an incident like this has occurred, as a group of players were banned for life late last year on similar charges.
What?
Wow.
So these are pro gamers conspiring to throw a match in the pro circuit to allow people to bet on it effectively and make money. This is straight up the Black Sox of 1919.
How much does it suck, though, that people last year doing the same thing just got banned and these guys are fucking straight up being prosecuted for it?
Well, that's because it's a monetary issue, man.
Well, it is, yeah. I mean,
well, how come the other guys only got banned then?
Was it in a major
were they
tournament?
staging matches specifically so people could profit?
Maybe they didn't have the proof necessary to correlate how much money they were able to get off it. I
suppose that could be true.
Any of those circumstances could be true.
Follow the rules.
But that is incredible. 8 people arrested over match fixing in pro esports.
Well, but that's the thing, though, is that anything that you can bet on, if you're fixing the outcome, you're doing that. That's illegal. That's flat out illegal. It doesn't matter what you're doing it related to, whether it's a game of jacks or fucking Major League Baseball. If it's fixed, and you can't fucking do that shit.
There's another player who goes by the handle Life, who's currently under investigation for the same thing. He's one of the best StarCraft II players ever. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, he won the world championships 3 times. I have no idea why he needs to be match fixing.
Serious? Well, for money. I mean,
to help people win money. If you throw a match and someone bets on the other person, then they win the match.
Nika, I think we understand the basic premise of it. I think what he's saying is, if he's that good, how is he starving for money?
You win massive amounts of money when you win the world championships.
How do you have to be shit, I am the best StarCraft player on the side of the planet, but I need to throw a match to get money. You know what I mean?
Well, are you sure he's not doing it to help friends win money?
Maybe.
Because you're not going to bet on your own
He's still under investigation, so I don't want to cast too many stones at him.
Yeah.
But he is being investigated for it.
All right, so
I would like to really quick voice my displeasure with Callie. I had put several iterations of the word penis throughout that outline, and he missed and didn't stumble over anything. He just kept reading.
That's because I have the version that I loaded up earlier on my phone that doesn't have those.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Eat it.
Oh.
Because as soon as I finished the outline, I loaded it up on my phone so you can change it.
That's smart. Smart idea.
Eat it, dude.
I'll get you yet. You and your little Len, too.
The other thing I wanted to mention, over the weekend, I had watched a pretty interesting documentary. It's on Netflix if you guys want to watch it. It was called All Work, All Play, and it's actually a documentary that chronicles the rise of eSports in the last 2-3 years.
I'm going to have to look that up.
It is very interesting, and to me, I don't know if you guys ever watched the 30 for 30 the 30 for 30 documentaries that ESPN produces, but they're probably some of the most interesting content that ESPN does, and they do it about everything. If it's even tangentially related to sports, they'll talk about it. For example, they did one for the O.J. Simpson murders. They did one for Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan, and they're just very well done by the numbers accounts of what happened. And this movie very much feels like a 30 for 30 that was made with the intention of giving you an idea of not just how these leagues were sort of formed and the narrative surrounding the leagues, but a couple of specific teams that they give you the narrative for their team as well. So you get kind of a macro and a micro look at what esports is doing, especially in the last 2 years, and why it's important culturally in the U.S. and why it's taken so long to take hold in the U.S. I think these are all really interesting things that this documentary really kind of shed a different light on. So, if that sounds like interesting to you, I invite you to check that out. It's Netflix. All Work, All Play is the name of that documentary.
It's really amazing too when you see the kind of lifestyles that pro gamers actually lead. Like during the season, if you're a League of Legends pro player, your day is you live in a house with the other 4 people or the other 4 or 5 people on your team, and you do a 16 to 18 hour work day 7 days a week.
That's right.
That is all you do is play League. And if you're not playing League, you're in scrimmages or you're in a coaching session or reviewing tape. That is all you do during the season.
No, that's nuts.
It is, and the amount of dedication, the amount of time, the amount of skill that's involved. I mean, you've got now professional sports commentators, because ESPN is looking to start covering esports. You've now got professional sports commentators coming out and saying, well, esports isn't really sports and it has no place on ESPN. But the fact of the matter is that the amount of investment that it takes to get good at these type of things, it really is, right. If you're doing it at that level, you should probably be compensated at that level too.
Yes, because beyond that, you don't sign a contract to play. You can be cut at any time. You don't you're not guaranteed your 2 years pay or whatever, the full season's pay even. And beyond that, for the amount of hours that you put in to be a pro league player, you're making less than minimum wage.
Yeah, overall. I was going to say, because
unless you can really expand your brand off it.
Because it's new and sort of, still on the edge there, because there aren't people who are, holding it to a legitimate status, you have to work just as hard. You have to work harder in order to get to that point. And also because it hasn't been recognized legitimately yet, you get shit like that, Callie, where if you don't do what they say, they'll fucking cut you.
They'll just cut you.
And you can't really fight back against doing 18-hour fucking work days where they ban you from, having a social life because you have to do this constantly.
Lots of players are not allowed to have a girlfriend because they're deemed a distraction.
Yeah. So until it gets to a point where, ESPN and sports and just people in general in a broader sense start to recognize it as official sports, and then you start to get actual, I'm not really sure any of the terminology to use, but actual entities that, then sort of watch over this kind of stuff, like the NFL or the MLB and stuff like that.
A players association.
Some type of players association,
right.
then it's going to be fucking awful.
It's fun to see this, not fun, but it's interesting to see this because we're seeing a microcosm of what every major sports league has gone through. When things like baseball and football were becoming popular, you were seeing players treated like dirt because it was considered such a privilege just to get to play this game for a living, until eventually they were so abused and the sport was popular enough and made enough money that they could unionize to protect themselves a little bit. Right now, if all the players just decided to unionize, people are like, all right, fuck you.
Yeah,
we'll get
fuck
other
you.
players.
Except the problem is there are so many people out there who would do that
I don't know that there's as many that would take what it needs to do what it takes to be competitive, because you've got a international competition sphere, and you forget that the competition is going up against other countries and their work ethics and their ability to train. So if you have a group of people that you just fire because you don't get along, then how many people at that skill level are you going to be able to get in to replace them?
Here's the problem.
I mean, I think that's a legitimate question, and I also really appreciate the point that you brought up, Callie, is that and it really struck me while watching this, is that if there were as many cameras and as much media that existed during the formation of the NFL or the MLB or the NBA, what kind of narrative would be associated with how that league was started and what it took to get the league to the point where it is now? I think that is one of the more interesting narratives out of this whole documentary, to see, because this really does, because it feels on a grassroots level with how many people are watching Twitch, with how many people are watching esports. Right. It is a very it's very natural. It's got its own momentum.
Yep. Right.
It doesn't have some kind of corporate sponsor or some kind of large corporate entity that's coming in and backing it to make it successful. It is successful on its face.
Right.
And that's why ESPN can't ignore it. They may go, video games on a conceptual level, but when you look at the audience that is walking out that door to go to Twitch or whatever other service is going to cover this kind of content, then you're looking at huge amounts of wasted revenue. That's just huge potential that's wasted and gone out the window.
Nihilist in the chat saying, no one wants to watch people play video games. Says the guy watching a bunch of people talk about video games.
Well, it's just patently not true. Esports is growing by leaps and bounds.
But there are people out there right now, and it's probably the same people that think, oh, they're not real sports. People that, think watching video games and watching people play video games like on Twitch is this fucking idea that they just can't fucking grasp.
Right. Well, I mean, there's already schools in the USA that are now giving out scholarships to come play on their esports team.
And that I think helps legitimize stuff
definitely.
like that.
But the problem is I don't think it's grown in the public eye enough yet where players can form any kind of union to protect themselves, especially because they have this problem right now of players over in Korea or China. When they can't hack it over there, they come over here and play for our teams because we're typically not quite as good.
Because we suck.
So they can come over here and play on our teams and be like top tier players over here.